Hey, what's up guys, TechTine here, and I am back again with a brand new video. So before I begin this video, first I want to thank you all so much for watching this one. If you enjoy my content, make sure you leave a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and check out more videos. I will leave some in the link description below. So without further ado, in today's video we're going to be comparing 3 generations of iPhones, and that will be the iPhone 11, the iPhone 12, and the iPhone 13. And starting with the design, and we're going to start with the iPhone 11 here. So the iPhone 11 has a 6.1-inch display with a pixel density of 1972 by 828, so slightly above 720p, and it's it's actually the worst display out of the 3 generations. So it's an IPS panel, definitely a lower quality as far as resolution goes, but as far as actual display quality, it's pretty good. And you do have the notch on the top of the phone and the top of the display, and the front also housed your Face ID sensors as well as your front facing camera. Now as far as the overall design, the iPhone 11 did have rounded corners, so they were made out of aluminum, and they're rounded. They do have the antenna lines on them, and it's not as seamless as current generation, which I will be comparing side by side in a little bit. And on the back you do have your dual camera setup. They are 12 megapixel sensors, both the wide angle as well as the ultra wide. I will be comparing pictures in a little bit, so stay tuned for that. You do have your LED flash as well as your microphone. And now as far as the iPhone 12 design goes, also a 6.1-inch display. However, this time around they upped the resolution and they upped the quality. So it does use an OLED panel instead of IPS, which increased the quality by a significant margin. So better viewing light, so better at battery saving, and a lot of different things that come with an OLED screen. But this time around on the iPhone 12, what Apple did in the design is that they went back to the basics. They went back to the drawing board, and they got inspired by the iPhone 5 and the iPhone 4 and the 4S, and went with more squarish design, which did provide a much better grip. And as far as pretty much everything else, it's kind of similar from there. I mean, other than the rounded corners, you do also have much better sensor from the iPhone 11, both coming in still at 12 megapixels with a LED flash and a microphone. Now to current generation, which did receive a slightly different design this time around. So this time around what Apple did, still 6.1-inch display, still OLED. However, it's much brighter, and as far as resolution, it's still the same. One of the things that they did as far as the display design is, I mean, if you already didn't notice, is that they decreased the size of the notch. Now, they did say it's a 20% decrease, which if you just heard the number, you might say, well, it's not going to be noticeable. But when you look at them side by side, and I will put them side by side in a little bit, it's actually pretty noticeable. So also one of the things that you would notice is that the earpiece has moved to the top. It's no longer within the notch itself. So that's also something to keep in mind. And the sides are still squared, still follows the same formula from the iPhone 12. However, what I noticed is that the buttons are actually shifted a little bit downward from the iPhone 12. So if you have an iPhone 13, so if you did upgrade to the iPhone 13 from the iPhone 12, then you better buy a new case, because chances are your case is just not going to fit. The camera modules on the 13 are actually larger, which they also house 2 pairs of 12 megapixel sensors, and this time around they are stacked diagonally with your LED flash on the top and your microphone also on the bottom, stacked again diagonally. And the reason for this size is one, it's a new sensor. Two, they do bring the sensor shift technology from the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and what that will do is essentially provide a much better stabilization and, in theory, a much better night shooting. So when you stack these phones side by side, you will kind of see the differences. Starting with the iPhone 11, I mean, it has these rounded corners, which makes it the most slippery one out of the bunch, and the 12 and the 13 have a much better grip. And as far as the notch goes, I mean, when I put them side by side, you can actually tell that the notch is smaller. So the brightness, as far as display quality goes, the 13 is slightly brighter, and both the 12 and the 13 just outmatch the 11 by a long shot. So there's that for you. But the notch size on the 13 versus the 12 and the 11 is smaller, right? Again, 20%. The number may not seem significant on paper, but actually makes a difference. However, within time, you will go to just get used to the notch anyway. So that's that. And now as far as the cameras go, which are a big deal. Like I said, they all share a 12 megapixel sensors throughout the three generations, from the 11 to the 12 to the 13. So basically where the differences come in is pretty much the sensor size, and the processor. So, okay, the sensor on the 13 is obviously the biggest one, which plays the biggest advantage as far as image quality. And I did take a couple of pictures. I'm still working on the iPhone 13 camera review, so that will be coming really soon, so stay tuned for that. And basically the story behind that is that the real difference you will find, well, if you're looking from the 11 to the 12 does have a slightly better picture, but it's kind of hard to notice when you really stack them side by side between the 11 and the 12. But the 13 does bring just a more vibrant picture than both the 11 and the 12. And if you're into all of that, then I think you're gonna like how the 13 processes the pictures. And as far as the focus and bokeh, the 12 and 13 do have the iPhone 11 outmatched, and the 13 is just the better out of the bunch. And I guess that's thanks to the sensor shift technology more than anything. And as far as colors, again, the 11 seems to be the lesser vibrant colors than the 12 and the 13, and the 13 just brings out more vibrance and more and a better controlled exposure and a better controlled shadows. So there's that for you. Now, as far as lastly, which is the specifications, the iPhone 11 does have the A13 Bionic, whereas the iPhone 12 has the A14 and the iPhone 13 has the A15 Bionic chip. Essentially what that means is a much better performance from the 11 to the 12 to the 13. So how far of a difference that will mean as far as performance? Unless you're really playing high demand games or just doing heavy tasks on your iPhone, it's kind of hard to notice, to be honest. But performance is the best on the 13, and the second best on the 12, and the third best on the 11. All of them are just such good performing phones. One of the other things that I noticed is that there is a much improved battery life on the iPhone 13. So the iPhone 13 will last you all day if you're using it kind of light to mid use. And the iPhone 12, in my experience, was actually the worst. The iPhone 11 did beat the iPhone 12. I'm not sure if that has to do with the OLED screen or anything like that, but yeah, that's just been my experience. Okay, so in my conclusion is this. The improvement from the iPhone 11 to the iPhone 13 are slight, but they're noticeable. So design changes are the biggest thing. So the squared edges is much better on the 13 rather than the 11. However, if you're upgrading from the 11 to the 13, I think you'll have a pretty good upgrade. But if you have the iPhone 12, I would hold off on an upgrade until an actual redesign, just because it's not yet significant enough for you to upgrade from the 12 to the 13 just because of sensor shift technology. And with that being said, I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you leave a thumbs up, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.